Hello everyone, welcome to Law Prep Weekdays, and today I'm very excited because I have a great friend of mine, Siddharth Mehta. So before I actually start, a disclaimer: I know Siddharth. We work together on a lot of projects. We are associated with the same organization, so that's something I should say upfront. A bit about him. He's been training for the last 12 years now, and in fact was involved in the training of the CLAT since his inception. Almost, I believe that he has taken 500, 600, 700, 800 hours of training every year for the last 10, 12 years, and also helped many students get into the top national law university. And currently, he's also an author of this amazing course called CR Nuggets. I will leave the link in the description box. You can check that out. But what I want to talk to Siddharth is about what is that we should do. I think there are a lot of uncertainty around, so I thought I'll get his perspective. And without any problem, did I mention that he's from XLR Jamshedpur? He's a management graduate from one of the top B school in this country. Yeah. So welcome, Siddharth. Welcome.
Thank you, Jijo. Thank you very much for inviting me to your talk and in your chat, and I'm sure we will be having a great time.
Chalo.
Right.
तो शुरू करते हैं. I think the first thing I want to ask is, what are you hearing from the students? I'm sure that you are in touch with the students. What are the concerns? This is in the context of the fact that the CLAT is now postponed, the ALET is now postponed.
Yeah.
There is uncertainty around board exam as well. So what is that you are hearing from your students?
See, the primary or the question that I come across mostly is that when will CLAT happen? When will IELTS happen? Will it happen in the online mode or the offline mode? And to these questions, none of us has the absolute perfect answer, right? Yeah. And what should we do? How to prepare for the CLAT and this uncertainty? So these are the common questions that the bigger picture questions of the exam. And then I also get the question about I'm facing problem on this particular section or that particular section. My marks are not increasing. So these are broadly, if we classify, one is related to when will exam happen and the things which are beyond our control kind of questions. So those are the questions. Yeah.
That's and also
the second is things which are under our control. That is how to improve the marks.
True. So that's also pretty much what I'm also hearing most of the time.
Yeah.
So let's start with the big questions, which is CLAT is getting postponed. And whenever there is uncertainty, there is this feeling of not doing something. So whenever people there, I'm guessing that there would be many those who say that, okay, I'm going to take a pause, I'll do something else. What would be your advice to the student in general at this point in time, those of you looking at preparing?
The first and foremost thing is, let us not be anxious about when will exam happen. Nobody knows about it. And try to keep yourself busy. Just being busy, not necessarily putting 8 to 10 hours daily, because I know it can easily cause out the burnout. Maybe 3 to 4 hours of study, maybe reading books or novels. And you know, Jijo, when we were students, we didn't have this kind of facility that I can log into the OTT, Netflix and Amazon and watch any kind of thing or any kind of documentary or do anything. But now students have so many things at their disposal. So constructively using the time is absolutely necessary. In the mind, if I have something in my mind, then anxiety will not come. So when students, for example, they ask me, my RC is not improving, sir, I'm not able to solve the questions on philosophy or passages or something of that sort, I will suggest that just log into Netflix, Amazon or any of these shows and why don't you surf that the greatest philosophers, and I'm sure in YouTube itself you will get thousands of videos on that and very amazing videos, particularly the civil service aspirants. For them there are particularly very good videos. Watch them. Just keep yourself busy and don't overdo the hard work.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, so what you are telling is that anxiety would be there and everybody is anxious. There is no point doing it. So to kind of fight that anxiety is to keep yourself occupied, keep your mind occupied. And you're actually saying that you don't have to put in a lot of effort, but do a little bit of disciplined approach, something that you've been doing, continue to do that. And worry about the exam dates later, or actually don't worry at all. I think that's what I'm hearing. So, but
which another thing, Jijo, I will like to say is that beyond academics also, there are so many things that we like. So maybe I like sketching or drawing or painting or playing video games. I'm sure students can easily take an hour or two for these activities, which keep them fresh.
Yeah. So one is so there are two things now. One I hear is that for the CLAT, do certain basic things. Number two is that for yourself, keep yourself occupied doing things that you like doing. All
Right.
right. Now, having said that, Siddharth, my question is, what do they study? How do they plan? How many hours? For example, there is GK, there is this subjects. Which subject should they pick, and how do they pick? How is there anything in your mind the, that can that can help the student in that regard, specifically what to do?
Yeah, but then there is not a single formula that I can suggest for every student. First and foremost, a student honestly need to analyze that where he or she is standing right now, vis-a-vis the end result that we all are, or they are envisaging, that maybe top 10 law schools or top 5 law schools. How many marks are they scoring in the mocks? Actually, whether they are taking the mocks or not. So the first thing is to understand where am I standing right now. Personally, when time is less, for example, say we may have 2 to 3 months for CLAT, I will suggest students to have at least two sections which they can call as their strength. So what do I mean by strength? For me, there is a benchmark for strength. I can get 75% of the total marks, whatever that section has. 75% of the total marks by not spending more than a minute in that section. Then I can say that, okay, this section is
more,
my strength.
more than a minute in the section, more than a minute per question, you're saying?
Yeah, more than a minute per question, not more than a minute per question. Yeah, sorry.
So I said that in the section, I heard in the section they should spend a minute. So you're saying,
No. It's more than so. Just for example, let us talk about legal. So there are around 40 questions in the legal section, right? So if I can get around 32 marks by not spending more than 40 minutes in that section, then I can say, okay, this is my strength. Although 40 is higher side, I will like it to be 35 minutes, but just to have one benchmark, that is what I say to these students.
so
And yeah,
sorry, what you're saying is that the step number one now, I think what I'm hearing is that let's take a pause, let's look at restart the whole thing,
yeah,
let's take a mock test, and like you said, figure out where you are in each of these sections,
right.
and then look at what is that score that you want to get. And you are basically saying that we should have at this point, what are you saying? Two sections should be our strength.
Actually, it depends, Rijo. If I am aiming for top 200, 250 rank, then ideally speaking, I should have two sections as my strength and none of the section as my weakness,
So how do you
right?
define a
So I
weakness?
can't be bad at any particular section.
So you said 75
Sorry?
percentage is a. So you said 75 percentage is a strength. So what percentage would be
Yeah.
called as trouble?
See, for anyone who is aiming for top 250 rank, a score of less than 50% in any section, and that particular section usually is quant, I have seen. See, one cannot score less than 50% in legal and get to top 250 colleges. We all know that, right? So somebody cannot score 15 marks and get to Bangalore or Hyderabad. So for getting to Bangalore or Hyderabad, the sections which have major contribution or the major weightage in CLAT are legal and GK. You need to be good in these sections. No denial to that fact. The only section left is the QT section, but even in QT, you need to score 7, 8 marks to
All right.
remain in the hunt.
So essentially what I'm hearing is this, that once I look at it, maybe I can look at a section which I'm troubled, less than
Yeah.
50%, 50 to 75 percentage. Oh, I'm just about there. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
75 percentage and above is like my strength. As many
Yeah.
strength as possible is what I should have. All right.
Right.
Now let's look, for example, somebody who is at 50 to 75 percentage. What should they do to push it there? You can probably go from each section. Let's say English, what should they do? CR, what should they do? Maths, what should they do? And
Sure.
you're saying that whatever happens, you need to push from legal and GK for sure. So let's start.
See, yeah. Let us analyze the paper first. So if we look at this paper, this is primarily based on two skills, that is reading and reasoning skills. If you are not good in these skills, then you are not going to do well in the exam. Now, if we talk about the reading skill, that is primarily required in three sections, that is legal reasoning, English, and critical reasoning. You need to have good reasoning skills, reading skills. And reasoning also is required, particularly in legal and critical reasoning section. So these two skills you need to be good at. The knowledge part in this paper is only related to one section, that is general knowledge, and you have 15 marks of QT or the aptitude part. So if I pick up, if I want to improve overall, so there are two things I will say. That there is one thing that is common that will help you in at least 3 sections, that is reading lot of good stuff. Reading is very, very important. I have found, Jijo, that many students, they simply solve questions and they want more. They want more. Okay, now I've solved this book, but still my marks are not increasing. Now I've solved this thing also. My marks are not increasing. It's because the comprehension is weak. You can't just simply look at the solved examples and say that my accuracy or my scores will increase. It will not happen. I will put it this way, that if you want to improve your English, reasoning, and legal, I mean, let me talk about English and critical, because they are two very closely related sections, critical reasoning and English. 60% of the time should go to reading and 40% to question solving. Now, question solving also comes as test.
60% reading, 40%. Okay, this is what I'm hearing. So what from Siddharth, this is very interesting. So if I can actually improve the two skills, which is reading and reasoning, then I can nail those three things. And GK is more about just studying and spending more time and doing this. Okay, so we will deal with quant in a moment. But so which sort of tells me, correct me if I'm wrong, that critical reasoning has got both.
Critical reasoning has got both.
But so if I sort of focus on that as an area and build my strength there, do you think that you will see impact on other sections as well?
100%. In fact, critical reasoning and English both go hand in hand, directly correlated, right? And if you can solve the questions of critical reasoning, automatically it will help in the English section also. In fact, if you look at the last year's CLAT paper, it was very difficult to say whether a particular question is from the English section or for the critical reasoning section. There were at least 10 to 12 questions in the English section that had direct application of the critical reasoning part. So of course, that really helps. But most of these students, they don't read that much. That is what I say. So you read, you need to read good stuff. And there are so many good stuff, 8 to 10 websites I have shared in my channel, that these are the websites that you can refer for good reading. Of course, daily editorials do help. And those who are in habit of reading books or novels, certainly it helps. And you know, another thing, Jijo, as I told, more than reading, they can also watch the documentaries or the YouTube videos or the movies on different aspects. I mean, any movie related to economy or business or documentary related to World War. There are so many stuff available these days. These things were not available to us. When we were preparing.
So one is that you said that you have a list of it. I'll pick that from you as well and put it in the description. But yeah, so coming to that point is that, so there is, okay, so once you're saying that you should develop a habit of reading. I'm assuming that you're not saying substitute that with CLAT prep. Saying that no, you're basically saying that add on.
Yeah.
You're nowhere saying that this is what you should do to get the marks high, but
no.
This aids your preparation. Okay, so let's get to, for example, let's say critical reasoning or reading comprehension. In terms of what should they do from a prep point of view? I think let's say my score is stuck. Where do I start? Where do I move from here?
Okay, fine. So first and foremost is, I mean, as we started, take few mocks, right? One mock won't be good enough to judge yourself. You can't say you are a rock star if you get, say, 25 marks out of 30 in English and you say that I'm very good at it. Take 3 tests and look for the trend then. And then what also helps is, now coming to the question solving part. The reading part is done. That is something that you need to do over and above of what you are doing. Simply solving questions won't help. Simply reading won't help. Both the things are required. 60 and 40 makes 100. Okay. So what I suggest to these students is that sit down. For example, test number 1, main idea questions. There were 5 main idea questions in the entire English and critical reasoning section. There were 6 questions that were based on vocab. For example, there were 3 questions that were based on strengthening the argument, 5 questions on inference. Now, out of these 6 questions of main idea, 5 or 6 questions of main idea, how many did I get right? Out of the inference question, how many did I get right? So now they need to go to that micro level and see what kind of questions they are getting right and what kind of questions are creating problem for them, and then start to work accordingly. So the first thing to know is where I stand, and
Yeah.
then progress in the right direction.
I mean, that, yeah. So I don't know where is the noise coming. Maybe it's my end or
I don't know.
I can hear something. Okay. Anyways, so what you're saying is this, that this is something that people
Okay.
don't do. I think that after taking the mock test, they cry or feel happy or feel emotion about it. But
Yeah.
I think what is more important, be very
Yeah.
objective in this particular thing and create a plan of action. Right. So I want to
Right.
talk about legal reasoning. Okay, and I'm going to pick up
Hmm.
legal reasoning, and from this the test that you took to go to XLRI, which is
Hmm.
XAT. In
Hmm.
that test, there is decision making as a section
Right.
where a case story is given and questions are based on certain decision that you have to make, either
Hmm.
identify the problem or figure out a solution. I see for a large extent legal reasoning is decision making.
Correct.
So your passage gives you criteria or rules which you need to apply to take a decision eventually, and then give a reason. Yes, and give the reason.
Right.
So do you see
Right.
that legal reasoning is more in terms of legal reasoning is frankly less to do with legal, more to do with reasoning. Legal, that's my take. What is your?
100%. The new pattern is absolutely about reasoning. The thing is that we promote. I mean, see, the kind of section legal reasoning is, there are set of principles and constraints that are given, and you need to limit or confine your thinking within those principle and constraint, and that is what most people are not able to do. So if they get emotionally attached to the answer, or a gunda hai to isko to jail hona chahiye kind of thing, right? So yeah, so you are right. It is more of a reasoning skill rather than having a prior knowledge of legal. But prior knowledge also helps in certain way, and that is where I will like to highlight what students can plan for their legal section, right? So if, see, for example, if there is a passage on a particular bill, say farmers bill, there is a passage, and I am thorough about it. So it helps me certainly. It increases my speed. I know actually what happened, so all those things certainly helps in building my accuracy and speed. What I suggest is that go thoroughly through all the important bills and laws and or the decisions that have been passed by Supreme Court or High Court in past 8 to 10 months. That is very, very important. That will also help, of course, in your general knowledge. But GK and legal, with the kind of paper it is coming, all of us need to define our universe. What is my immediate universe? So my immediate universe in legal is, say, picking up those 50, 40 important judgments and bills that have happened in past 8 months, and I will be thorough through it. Once I am done with it, I will expand my universe and say, now what next? Okay, let me look at all the important judgments related to the constitution, and let me be thorough with it. So I'm expanding my universe. Now what happens in a student's life is, they think that I will do this also, that also, that also, and they end up doing nothing. So let us have a fixed plan. Let me say that this 50 bills or 50 events in GK, I will take 10 days to complete. Then
So
that
let
job
me
is over. Yeah.
just to clarify here, you're not suggesting. What I'm hearing is that I just need to be aware of the things that has happened, so that
Hmm.
when the passage would largely be passages from the current news that has happened. So the
Hmm.
passage is more familiar to me when I read it.
Right.
I'm 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 I'm, I'm sure you're not suggesting people to mug these things.
No, no
Uh,
way.
you're
No, by being thorough, what does it mean? So, see, by being thorough means I'm referring 3, 4 different websites and getting different point of views. That's it. So, for example, an article from the farmers bill, say editorial from Indian Express has been picked up and given in the CLAT paper. I don't read Indian Express, but I have read the same thing in Hindu, or I have read same thing in say Times of India or any Outlook magazine, anything. But that helps me. So no point in mugging up, just knowing the basic facts, what happened, and that would be good enough.
So basically, you're saying that since, for example, of if you are getting a philosophy passages, if you have read the philosophy articles, I'm comfortable
Yeah.
with this. In the same way, in the legal passages, if I've read with the
Yeah.
legal issue, I'm comfortable with this. So it's about my familiarity with the topic around
Familiarity.
may helps is what you're suggesting. Even if let's say
Yeah.
I'm not familiar, then I use my reasoning skills to get the answer.
Get the answer.
All right. So still there are two things. Which so therefore at the end of the day, therefore these three sections: English, legal, and logic.
Hmm.
English, legal, and logic. If you have the right kind of skills and approach, which is tested and needed by the paper,
Right.
and then things should be fine, right? So
Absolutely.
to
Another
come.
thing, Gito, which I will like to point out here is that now I have said that pick the 50 bills. Now this becomes difficult for a student. How do I find it? The next question is, bol to diya, kare kaise? So many students come to me. What I simply suggest is that don't worry, mock test is here to help you. Pick the past 20 mock test papers. Just check kahan se kya kya pucha hai. Make an Excel sheet, write down the topics, and start working on it.
Makes sense.
Right? So we have to define our universe to start. We simply can't say that I will do this, I will do that, and I end up doing nothing.
You're saying that you figure out what is important,
Yeah.
deal with that, and then if you have time, then keep on expanding the
Keep
universe.
on expanding. Yeah.
Which I think would also make sense for general awareness as well. Or
Absolutely same thing. Absolutely same thing for general knowledge. I am very bad at general knowledge, but if Jijo, you tell me that Siddharth, you have to see. I wrote CLAT in 2019, and my rank was around 244. Right, my general knowledge marks were poor because there was nobody to push me. But if somebody pushes me, take a top 50 mein aana hai, then I know that I have to work in general knowledge. How will Siddharth work? See, he will not do anything. He will pick up the mock test papers and see what are the topics being tested in mock test. Let me prepare on those topics. Then I will refer few standard websites or whatever the important events are of each month. I will do it thoroughly. Now, what is happening in GK? I know what the problem is with these students. So most of these students, if you look at the pattern of the mock test, there are 5 questions in the GK section. Usually 3 questions are based on current affairs, which most of these students are able to answer. 2 questions are a bit deep in nature, static in nature. Now they don't know that. If I have to get into top 50, 100 or 200 rank, I need to answer those 2 questions. They are the deciding factor. Though the 3 current affairs, anybody can answer. So what I will do is I will then do intensive study. For GK, I believe in intensive study, particularly the kind of paper that CLAT has become. It's no more now option wala paper, which requires exhaustive study.
So the same logic, my GK should also get to that 50 universe. No, I should know my GK universe, 100 events that I know for sure. How do you
50
suggest
important events is
my way of looking at important events? This is my way.
yeah.
An event which has there been a longer period of time is obviously naturally important. Event which has had
Obviously,
multiple
yes.
angles. For example, if I look at, for example, last year's CLAT paper, the article was picked from an article that came in the month of September. But the event genesis was long. Every event moves. So the more the event moves, more impact the event going to have, more direction is going to take. So
right.
but how do I let's say how do I create a list of 50? How do I create a list of 100? What is your suggestion?
No, one is the mock test one that students can do. Pick up 10, 15, 20 mock test and see what all topics have been asked and they can prepare. But personally, what I will do is that I will first and foremost look at the previous 3 months. So I am sitting right now. If I am an examiner, suppose I have to set the paper, what will I do? You told it. So easy thing that strikes in my mind is ऐसा कौन सा चीज है जो लंबे समय से चल रहा है? Let me pick that. That's easy to do. The second thing is what is the future event that is going to happen, which will be of some significance. So say Olympics. So they are debating whether the Olympics should be conducted or not conducted. So then that is another thing. Then if I make 2-3 questions, then for the remaining question, I will see what's happening right now. So I will pick up the news as an examiner. That's what I will do from the recent past. I think that's what happened in CLAT also. Most of the questions were from past 3 to 4 months only. So I will first and foremost look at, say, if the exam is in the month of July or August, I suppose August maybe. I mean, it's my opinion. It can be in the month of June also. So, right. So, suppose it happens in the month of August, then the month of April, May, and June becomes important for me if it is in offline mode,
Which is now.
which is now, which
But
is
I'm
now.
saying, which means, Siddharth, what you're telling me is that तुम्हारा GK तो बंद नहीं होना है ना.
हाँ,
So
बंद नहीं होना.
if your CLAT is getting postponed, your GK story is also getting added to the list. So
Right.
whatever happens while you are taking care of the problem of, I think that the taking care of problem of those non GK part, non math, non GK part is about getting those skills correct.
Skills correct. Yes.
Which I'm sure that you will be able to help, and you have been
Yeah,
helping
of
kids.
course.
Okay, huh?
Right.
So getting those skills correct. The second, of course, but for GK, if I stop, I'm doomed.
I'm doomed. A weak student in GK should, like me, should also think it this way. तीन महीने का ही तो पढ़ना है. So nothing is lost. I can actually pick it up right now and score a decent 50-60% of the marks in GK. I'm not saying that I will score 75%, 80% marks just by preparing 3 months GK. But even if you are weak, this GK gives you the scope to score at least 50-60% marks.
He actually kept one section towards the back burner, and everybody does that. I know
Yeah.
that kids, which is quantitative techniques. But when you
Yeah.
actually look at last year's paper of quantitative, it was not that. I mean, it was manageable. It was not difficult as a set of questions. If I
No, one question was wrong, and that could have killed the time of the
okay,
students
fine.
who are good at QT.
Huh.
Leaving that, that was not it was quite manageable, and it has always been quite manageable. I think only CLAT 2015, which
Yeah,
had all the sections which were a bit controversial, and
yeah, yeah.
so apart from that, it has always been manageable.
So why don't people do it? Well, what is the problem? What is your experience that क्यों है? मतलब, why is
I think they simply say that कि करना ही नहीं है. मतलब they don't even, it's very rigid mindset that I don't have to do it. As simple as that. And the second thing is fear. I mean, we won't be able to solve it. So anyways, it is better to devote time somewhere else.
but fear मतलब you're running away from the fear?
Yeah, running, escaping it.
हाँ. It's very strange, no? The CLAT ने तुमको बोला है there is 150 questions. You're like, nah, नहीं चाहिए. Give me,
135.
give me only 35, 15 you keep. How will you get from 135? What percentage would you require to get something like 120 score or something? No, without quantitative techniques, how will you're not going to make it?
You're not going to make it. Of
So
course. See, if you look at the cutoff of, forget about last year cutoff को हम छोड़ दें, so even then to get into top three colleges, I would say it has always been around 70-75% of the total marks.
yeah,
To get into top three, plus minus थोड़ा बहुत होगा. To get into top three, you need 70-75% of the marks. If I have 135 marks in the paper, for me the paper is of 135 marks, I have to score around 110 marks net of accuracy and net of everything we are talking about.
yeah. So
And the most advantageous part about QT is that you can argue about with CLAT for 20 questions in critical reasoning and English ki iska answer ye hona tha, iska answer. For QT, there can't be any debate.
true, but still they managed to get some questions wrong.
Yeah, that is a specialty of maybe the exam.
So yeah, so what you're essentially telling is what I can hear is that first of all you take a few mock tests, or at least pick up the mock to analyze where you are.
Yeah,
Keep a benchmark of 75%. That's a good benchmark. If you want to be the top three, you have to be 75 across.
yeah.
Correct. No? Keep a good benchmark, 75%. Look at how many section you are above it, for how many section you're below it. If you're below it, figure out why you're below it. Is there anything that you want to improve, and focus on that. For GK, ensure that you have a plan of action which goes, like you're saying, that starting with figuring out the universe and use the mock test as a tool to help you with that, and then keep moving forward. So, and then also during free time, do stuff, do sketching, do painting, do dancing, do things
Yeah,
that you want to do, and
of course.
yeah, so that's nice. So any Before I close this, and thank you so much for being here with me. General advice that you have, anything generally want to talk to your students or the students and people
Jivan,
viewers.
these days I hear a lot of students talking about such big words like they are getting anxious, they are getting depressed at such a young age for one entrance exam. It's just one entrance exam. Of course, it is important. I'm not saying that I'm not downplaying it, but let us not overplay it, right? No, I mean, it is important, but there are so many other things if you don't do well in one exam. So all we can do is we can give our best. I'm sure I'm not the first one to give this advice to them. All I want to say is that life is beyond CLAT or LAT or IIT or any exam. I mean, there are so many things that we can do. Just give your best and enjoy the process. That is very important. Keep enjoying the process. You don't know what will happen and how will it turn out for you. Don't be anxious. Enjoy every moment.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Siddharth. And for everyone, I will leave here the link of his channel below. I will also leave link of the course that he runs, which is CR Nuggets. He's an awesome teacher, so you can learn from him. And thank you so much, Siddharth, for coming. And I
Thank you
hope
so
that
much, Jijo.
we will do this again sometime on a different issue.
Sure.
And for my viewers, if you have any questions to Siddharth, just post it. I will share that with him, and he will respond. Bye.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.